But first, got to get to a very special guest here in the podcast studio. As Erick Reasoner, the Senior Associate Athletic Director for Development, joining us here on the show. Erick, appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
He is special, isn't he?
I feel special.
As long as you feel it, that's all that matters, right?
That's right.
Talk about what the last year plus has been like for you guys over at the Athletic Foundation. A lot of changes have been going in the Athletic Foundation, moving it to the Erick Russell Fund, which we've talked about a lot over the last year or so. But what have you seen those changes now that they've been in for a couple of months, almost a year now? What have you seen those changes really kind of pay the dividends of?
So overall fundraising, we've been amazed by Eagle Nation because last 12 months, so the last calendar year, we're going to be over $10 million. Previous record in a 12-month period was a little over $4 million. So more than, about 2.5 times it. We set the record last fiscal year was $6.4 million. Right now we're at about $6 million this fiscal year, and we still got 6 more months. But talking about the Erick Russell Fund, Source 6, a lot of that money that we have raised has been outside the Erick Russell Fund. It's been for facilities, sports specific. So you just got to think that that's all designated. So outside of that, our annual fund, the Erick Russell Fund, that's what our operating budget is. And we've got a Soar to 6 program trying to get to 6,000 donors. Currently, we're around 2,000 to 2,500. Have a couple initiatives going in there, but really we need to beef up the operating budget to go along with all the capital projects that we're raising money for.
The fact that so many of you guys came in during the middle of a pandemic and now you're seeing all the fruits of that labor, being able to bring in more than $10 million over a 12-month stretch, how important but how challenging also was it to lay the groundwork during a time where none of us had experienced what we were going through?
Yeah, it was definitely not easy. So coming in with no relationships when nobody wants to meet you and start a relationship makes it tough.
A lot of Zoom high fives, is that a thing?
Yeah.
Or
No, actually a lot of schools do Zoom visits. We didn't. We were lucky enough that we came in kind of August and got to start making visits and then it really ramped up. So I'd say during the football season, we got a decent amount of people, and then we started hitting the road. So we had Ben Rodriguez, David Cutler, and myself mainly at that time. Jared did a lot of fundraising. But the first 6 months, we raised a total of $1 million last year. So we actually, of the 6.4, 5.4 of that was in the last 6 months. And this year, we've done about $6 million the first 6 months. So it did take a little bit of time, but we got there.
You were telling us not too long ago that the big success for the Athletic Foundation and Georgia Southern as a whole has been not just the dollar amounts, but so many different people getting involved, whether it's Jared, whether it's Chris, so many different people getting major gifts, and I know that's a huge asset for you guys. Yeah.
So last month alone, just in December, we had 9 different people get major gifts. So
that's not a month of the year where people are typically looking to give a lot, I would imagine, with the Christmas holiday, or would they be because it's a year-end deal?
It's a year-end deal. Okay. So, yeah, normally it's a big month for us.
Okay.
It's the biggest December we've ever had, so I think we're going to be around 1.1 million just in the month of December. Again, 9 different people getting gifts, which I've been at bigger schools that have raised a lot of money. I've never seen that done. So it's really impressive. And Colin, like you said, Jared Banco, Chris Davis, Tracy Ham got a gift. We've got Larry Mays over in the Athletic Foundation now, so he also helped out. And then everybody that's expected to raise some money too. And Frank Cook, who we call the Rainmaker, he's the one that really brought it in.
We got a question on Facebook Live. Terry wants to know, are you still soda free?
Oh, no. No,
you got your water. You could have sold it.
Yeah, I'm less soda. How would you say that?
Okay.
Is this something that's been ongoing?
Is this a New Year's resolution?
No.
Okay.
I don't do resolutions.
Okay.
I figure if you're going to change something, you should just do it then instead of waiting for a New Year.
There you
go. No, I had a kidney stone for about a month.
Oh.
What was it?
That would do it.
Yeah, pretty much a month in November. I was actually visiting donors in Atlanta. Hit me in the hotel room at like 2 a.m. and
exactly when you would want it to.
Yeah. So anyways, I had that for a month. So I gave up my Mountain Dew for a little bit.
Oh.
But once I passed out the kidney stones, back to Mountain Dew we went.
Well, we got Optima plug this week, so that works out.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah, so that was fun. Thanks, Terry, for reminding me.
It was all gone, just like the stove. We got to bring her back.
He started twitching there for a minute there, Terry. Talk about what the future for this athletic department holds. We've talked about all the successes that you guys have had, and rightfully so, ever since you got to Statesboro and your staff has been put in place. But what does the future look like? I know still a lot of ways to go for the IPF, the Convocation Center, but what does the next, 6, 12 months look like for you guys?
Like you said, still finishing up the Convocation Center indoor. The Tippins family indoor is what we'll start calling it probably, pending approval. But we're about $6 million on the indoor practice facility. That's without us even publicly naming it or publicly displaying it or being able to give. So all one-on-one fundraising, we're at $6 million. We got about $4 million left on that. Convocation Center, we have very little to go. With a verbal, we're right at about where we needed to be. So then we started looking at more facilities, but again, sort of 6 is a big thing for us. And we were talking about it before the show, but with the schools coming into the conference, we're going to be 10th in the conference in operating budget. So we're way behind in that category. Facilities, I think we're going to start catching up with all that we're raising, but we need to hit that sort of 6, get 6,000 donors, starting at $60. So it's fairly easy for everybody to do. But the more people we can get in the pipeline, we can increase that operating budget with Erick Russell Fund.
So much about what you do and really college athletics as a whole is about relationships. We can sit and talk with anybody about a variety of different things, but how do you create a relationship that can ultimately lead to a sizable financial contribution?
Well, the good thing for us and our job is we're just conduits. So we meet with people and we try to connect them with where they want to give, but it's not us selling really. We're meeting people that already have a passion. That makes our job easy. They're normally Georgia Southern grads or they have tickets, and we just kind of present options and let them pick where they're going to go. So, you have to have a relationship, but really the coaches, the staff, the student athletes, that's where the relationships really are. And we just, I don't want to say monetize them, but we just kind of give the options of how to help those relationships or the people they have the relationships with, and they go to it.
How do you go about kind of on a day-to-day basis of trying to almost compartmentalize what a major gift looks like, what a just regular Erick Russell Fund donor looks like, and how much you devote to each?
That's actually, I'm not saying a good question stalled. That's actually a really good question. You don't get asked that very often. So really we know what a major gift donor looks like because you can do research, and this is going to probably sound crazy to people at home, but you can see how much a person's home is worth. You can see their salary if they're a public company and they're high enough in a public company, how much stock they have. We can really see a lot of assets. So that really helps us delineate who's major gift, who's annual fund. But really the hope is you're both. So that's with the giving societies. They reward both. So we want people giving to the Erick Russell Fund, but then also giving on top of that contribution and helping out with the facilities. But as far as time we spend, it depends on a person. So David Cutler, he's annual fund. His primary responsibilities are beefing up the Erick Russell Fund, but he's also raised almost $1 million in major gifts in the past year and a half. So he does, and that's very little of his job responsibilities are major gifts. Ben, on the other hand, mainly major gifts, but Ben and Alicia, who are in our office, they're hitting the road, and if somebody doesn't have the capacity for a major gift, which a lot of us don't, I definitely don't, we go to Erick Russell Fund. So we just try to get them to support however we can.
When you look at, and a lot of people don't realize how much work and effort goes into, it's not just you going and taking somebody to lunch and trying to figure out what they look like. And that's part of it, but a big part of it is all the work that you guys do behind the scenes that nobody sees. How much, when you're going into, say you're going after Danny as a major gift donor because he's got all the money, but you're going after Danny, how much time do you spend on each individual person that you go?
It depends on the individual. So I know I'm using that answer, but I'm not trying to beat around it. So normally they'll tell you 18 months for a major gift. So from meeting somebody to closing the major gift, that's more in a university setting. In athletics, we're normally in the 12-month period. but the time you spend, it all depends on if they're retired, probably more time because they want more of a conversation. If they're on the go and they're an executive Fortune 100 company, they don't want to talk to you as much. They got other stuff to do. So then it's maybe once a quarter that you're talking to them. But really, we just carry the relationship, however the what we call them as prospects, however they see fit.
You brought up the idea about the stock assets a little bit earlier, and that's part of a social media post that we saw within, I want to say, the last couple of weeks about how prospective Erick Russell Fund donors or people that are currently giving can tie that all together and make it even more of a valuable situation.
Yeah. So we kind of turn into tax advisors a little bit. We're not allowed to advise on tax, so don't take that. But we get to learn the tax codes. We're a 501c3, so just like any other charity, we can really benefit people by transferring stock is a big one, or anything that's an appreciated asset. So it can be real estate. I've seen paintings donated before. I've actually seen doubloons.
What now?
Doubloons.
You don't know what a doubloon is?
No, am I supposed to?
They like pirate money, right? Yeah. I was at a school once that somebody brought in doubloons, and we had to meet them at a coin store, and they sold it to the coin dealer, and then we got the money.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, that one didn't work out tax-wise as good because they didn't transfer it straight to us, so they didn't miss out on capital gains. But for stock transfers, you can transfer it straight to our bank account. You miss out on capital gains, plus you get the full tax deduction. Much better than selling it and then giving it to us.
Okay, are doubloons the craziest thing you've seen given?
Well, I guess it depends what you call crazy. When I was at Florida, we actually had a guy who passed recently, unfortunately, Stumpy Harris, who was a very big supporter, and he had a fleet. So he had an RV camper, a car, like a portable bathroom, motorcycle, all this stuff that was all orange and blue and gatored out. The car, when you honk the horn, was the fight song, that type of stuff. And he gave us those to raise money with. So we actually auctioned some of those off. So that was kind of different.
You talked about the champion societies, and I know that's been a big push over the last couple of weeks, and you've had a lot of new people join in on the champion societies, and I know on National Signing Day you had a lot of those coming out publicly on social media. But talk about the champion societies, and it's not just a championship society, it's multiple different levels.
Yeah, so when I got here, we had the one champion society. It was in the annual fund, and just the thought process was we get someone to give $50,000 over 5 years. It helps the operating budget, which I talked about earlier. But then once they're done with that 5 years, there is nothing. So if you can do another $50,000 over 5 years, there is no stewardship, no nothing. You're done after that year. So we created more giving societies. We also moved it out of the annual fund. We wanted to reward people for giving to all areas. So we added 3 other societies. We got Talent Society, Beautiful Eagle Creek, and then the Oak Circle, which is our top one. And with those, it's now cumulative. So somebody could give us $50,000 over 5 years like they would have previously, but for the rest of their life, they're getting the benefits. In the past, again, 5 years and you were done. It didn't matter what you had done. So we've increased that a lot, like you kind of alluded to. So I think we had maybe around 90 Giving Society members when we implemented them last February, so a little less than a year ago. Now we're at like 140. So, and that's using the same math. So it's apples to apples. So anyways, we've increased that a lot. The Oak Circle, which is a really high society, that's $500,000 over your lifetime. I think we had around 10 when we rolled them out, and now we're at like 16.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's been really good.
How have you guys marketed the idea of being a donor to young alumni?
Yeah, so that's a focus of ours. If you look at our alumni base, we're really young, and that's because of the growth that we've had recently. As far as enrollment goes. So I'm trying to remember the exact stats, but I think it's around 40% of our alumni are under the age of 30. Or is it 40? Sorry, I'm working that out in my head. I think it's under the age of 40. And then 67% of our alumni are under the age of 50. So 2/3 of our alumni are under the age of 50. So we have a young alumni program that's 30 and under. You get half the donation to the Erick Russell Fund gets you full benefits. But something cool that Stephanie Roberts in our office came up with is cocktails and kicks. Yeah. So that's going to be in February, the night before Georgia State basketball. For those that are already young alumni or Erick Russell Fund members, is $20. All you can eat, all you can drink. We're going to have DJ Nino there. Ooh. I think that's how you say his name. And then we've got a couple signed sneakers. We got custom painted sneakers. So far, we've gotten Tyler Bass and Kendall Vildor to sign. I think we're working on Young Wei Koo and Matt Breida. And actually, I mixed those up. We already have Breida. We don't have Vildor yet. But we're going to give away probably 2 pairs of signed shoes at the event. It's cocktail attire plus tennis shoes so people can show off their sneakers. And then if you're not a young alumni member, it's $50. But you can only go if you're 30 and under. So only if you're young alumni. We're not going to have any old farts like
you're
me
out,
there.
Danny.
But it's $50 if you're not already a young alumni member. So that also includes the Erick Russell Fund membership for a year. Okay.
Finally, before we let you go, how do people reach out, get involved if they're trying to either become a major gift, a champion society, a giving society, just a Erick Russell Fund member? How do they reach out? How do they do it?
A couple websites. So just to join the Erick Russell Fund, give.gseagles.com. And I think you've got 2 clicks and you can give. If you want to research things, we've got gseagles.com/foundation. That kind of shows all the ways to give to us. And then we've got our info on the website, but Ben Rodriguez, David Cutler, Alicia Irves, Larry Mays, all good ones to reach out to, myself as well. But email, call. I kind of talked about catering to the donor before. We do that communication-wise too. So if somebody wants to talk on the phone, if they prefer text, if they prefer email, we do whatever they want to do. So those are the ways.
Erick, appreciate the time. Appreciate what you do for Georgia Southern Athletics.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Thanks, man.
Yep. Once again, that is Erick Reasoner, the Senior Associate Athletic Director for Development for Georgia Southern. Really, really good guy, and can't talk enough about what he and his staff have done really over the last 12 months, 24 months almost. It seems like they've been here forever, but it also seems like they've been here for about 3 minutes.
All that they've done, it makes it feel like they've been here for a lot longer than they have.
Yeah.
But we have our department-wide meetings at the beginning of every month. He usually gives a report from the foundation side.
Yeah.
And the numbers he spits out, they're usually really good. That's an inside joke. But the numbers he spits out, you just continually get amazed by what they've been able to do despite the circumstances that we're all dealing with.
Yeah.
And it's amazing what they've been able to pull off simply by being good people.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's such a simple concept.
And being good people, reaching out and going, and I would be shocked if there is any kind of meeting that Erick or somebody on his staff would turn down.
When would you have thought that $10 million in a 12-month stretch was possible?
When he said it.
With what we're going into, it's going to have to be a regular thing with the construction, with the giving societies, with all of the options that you're going to want to be a part of. But to know that where Georgia Southern needs to get to as an athletic department, that doesn't need to be the number that makes your eyes bug out. It needs to be the norm going forward. But the fact that you have started that sets the foundation for what can be over the next few years.